What's up, guys? How are we doing today? Hope y'all are doing fantastic. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about this whole Trump airplane deal, and I know there's a lot of you have your opinion on it, and a lot of you are should he take it? No, should he? There's hundreds of people out there and that have their opinions and that have already covered this, and I just wanted to try and get some facts, get some of my own, listen to some arguments and what before I came on and gave my take on it. And so far after hearing what I'm hearing, I'm kind of neutral on the whole idea if he should take it or if it's ethical to take it or if it's legal to take it or if it's I'm kind of neutral. I've got a few clips that I've tracked down and there's hundreds of them and I just picked a few to kind of go to kind of talk about. And it's like I just don't know if it's you know I personally don't care if he takes the plane or not. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's only going to make the Democrats mad and they're going to one more reason to try and impeach the man and because it's unethical, it's unconstitutional for him to take a gift because technically in the Constitution it is unconstitutional to take a gift from another foreign country or whatever. But there's ways around it. There, if he can get it signed off by Congress, then it's totally fine, and it's not a gift, from. It's not a gift to Trump, and there's hundreds of different stories out there. So you make your own conclusions. I'm not here to tell you how to think. I'm just telling you kind of what I've discovered and kind of how I think about it. But I've got a few clips and I'll go ahead and play the first one, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it for a quick second, and we'll, kind of go from there.
President Trump today defended the $400 million gift.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
A massive 747-8 luxury jet that's been called a flying palace.
I think it's a great gesture from Qatar. I appreciate it very much.
The jet, which is bigger and more luxurious than Air Force One, would almost certainly be the most expensive gift ever from a foreign power. It has 2 fully furnished floors, plush carpet, leather couches, and 2 bedrooms. Under the entirely unprecedented arrangement, the Qatari royal family would give the plane to the Pentagon to be used as Air Force One. Shortly before Trump leaves office, ownership would transfer to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation.
I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane.
Democrats say accepting the Qatari jet would be clearly illegal, violating the Constitution's ban on gifts from foreign heads of state.
His shameless self-enrichment is without equal in American history.
Hillary Clinton pointed to the president's comments that children might have to settle for just 2 dolls because of the impact of his tariffs. Clinton posting, so American children should make do with 2 dolls, while Donald Trump gets a free sky palace from the Qatari government. Okay. The top Democrat in the Senate Armed Services Committee, Jack Reed, flagged alarming national security concerns, warning using the Qatari jet as the new Air Force One would, quote, pose immense counterintelligence risks by granting a foreign nation potential access to sensitive systems and communications. Trump today angrily dismissed the criticism.
They're giving us a free jet. I could say, no, don't give us, I want to pay you $1 billion or 400 million or whatever it is. Or I could say, thank you very much.
Attorney General Pam Bondi argues the arrangement with Qatar is legal, insisting the plane is not a bribe because the Qatari royal family is getting nothing in return. Our Rachel Scott asked Trump today if he would continue to use the jet himself once he leaves office and its ownership transfers to his presidential library.
Do you plan to use the plane after you leave office?
No, I don't. No, it would go directly to the library after I leave office. I wouldn't be using it. No.
The plane would have to go through extensive modifications before it could be used as Air Force One. The Air Force has strict requirements for security and communications features. Air Force One must be able to continue operating even in the event of a nuclear blast. Jonathan Carl, ABC News, the White House.
Yeah, so it's like I don't see I see his point totally. Like, you'd be pretty stupid not to take a plane like that. I mean, it's It's a nice plane, and it's why wouldn't you? And for those of you that say that that they can't give it to Trump, well, they're really not giving it to Trump. They're giving it's a government gift to another government, and it's not gonna be used. It's not like just it's Trump's personal plane. It's gonna be turned into Air Force One, and it's gonna be, when he's done in office, it's gonna be returned or handed over basically to the presidential library, for Trump's presidential library, and that's where it's going to be. He's not going to be using it after he's office. So it's for the government, and it's not like here, Donald, have a personal plane to put in your own personal hangar. No, it's not like that. He has his own plane. He has his own, and Air Force One is getting pretty old, and he's already got a contract for $4 billion to make two new. There was two of them, two new Air Force One planes that are under construction still, but they're taking their sweet time, and they're probably out of money anyway. They probably used all that money for some other nonsense, but Boeing had a $3.9 million contract to build two new Air Force Ones, and they're way behind schedule. So now Trump has an opportunity to get a plane for free and turn it into Air Force One while he's waiting for that other one, since they may not even be out before he's out of office. They may not even, they're saying 2027 maybe at the soonest, and that's if they hurry. So it's like, you'd be stupid not to. I mean, I see his point there, but I also see the point of it is a security risk. It's coming from a foreign country. Like, it's going to take a lot to get that to where it's can actually be used as an official Air Force One, with all the communications and all the security and all that has to be put in it, and all the former security that has to be taken out of it, because we don't know we don't know if it's safe to go. So I'm kind of neutral. I'm like, it would be a good idea, but should he really? Should you? It's not that it's not by. I'm not saying this based on legality or constitutionality. You think what you want on that, because it is what it is. But just on a safety security basis, should he actually take the thing? I don't know. But and again, I think it's more of a gift from the government to another government. So it's not, like I said, it's not Trump's personal plane. And even if he does, by the time he gets it built to Air Force One, he's probably only going to be able to use it for maybe 6 months to a year before he's done, and then it goes to his library. Then it's like we have this plane sitting there that he got to use for like 6 months, and now it's just kind of sitting there doing nothing. I get your point. I get the point there of, is it really going to be worth it to do that? Is it really going to be like, yeah, it's something for Trump, and he's really a lavish person, and I get it, and he likes to show off, and he likes to be, flaunt what he has, and I get it. He likes to live in style, and why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't a president want something like that in their presidential library? I get it. I see it from both sides, and it's not, like I said, I'm not here to talk about the legality of it or the ethicals of it. I'm just the safety of it, the security, which, to be honest with you, and this isn't me speaking, and this isn't me putting all of you but the left, a lot of the left, if it's got security problems, you should be kind of pushing for him to take it. A lot of you are celebrating the attempted assassination of him. So it's like, if there's some kind of a security that something could happen to him while he's on this plane, you think you'd be in favor of it. And I'm not saying any of you were cheering for it or calling for it, but there's been some that have, and there's been some that kind of celebrated the attempts and wish they weren't just attempts. But I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not, and YouTube, I'm not calling for anything. I'm just saying what I saw. But anyway, that's beside the point. What's the point is, we should he should think twice about it. I'm not, like I said, I'm not, if he takes it, whatever. I'm not going to be pissed off at him. I don't care. But anyway, let's see. There was another one where it came from a CNN article or news clip or something where she was interviewing one of the head guys from the country of Qatar, and she was just asking about it. And let's move into that clip, and then we'll come back and we'll do some more discussion.
Let me take a moment to get to the bottom of this offer by Qatar of a multi-million-dollar Boeing 747-8 to President Trump. When did your government first start talking to the US about this aircraft, and who broached the subject first? Was it the US or was it Qatar?
Well, actually, it's, I know that there were a lot of speculations about this topic. I don't know what is the reason that instigate this. This is a very simple government-to-government dealing when Ministry of Defense and Department of Defense are still exchanging the possibility of transferring one of our 747s-8 to be used as Air Force One. And it's still under the legal review. So there is nothing really, I don't know what was like, why it became like so big as a news that this is something that considered in a very strange way. It's we have done a lot together with the US. For example, the airlifting that happened during Afghanistan evacuation, 80% of that been taken care of from Qatar.
I think the point is that this people are confused as to whether this is a personal offer to President Trump from the Emir. Certainly President Donald Trump suggesting in an interview on Tuesday that Qatar approached him claiming that one Qatari official said, if I can help you, let me do that. Is that true?
Well, it is a government-to-government transaction. It has nothing to do with personnel, whether it's on the U.S. side or on the Qatari side. It's Ministry of Defense, Department of Defense. So I don't see anything in that.
It's, you're alluding to the fact that this has created huge controversy in the States, and this is sort of bipartisan criticism, Republicans and Democrats accusing the president of graft and Qatar of buying influence. Are you?
Why would we buy an influence in the United States? If you look just, in the last 10 years of the U.S.-Qatar relationship, Qatar has been always there for the U.S. when it's needed, whether it's on the war against terror, whether it's in the evacuation of Afghanistan, whether it's on releasing hostages from different countries around the world. And Qatar has been always a reliable partner for the U.S., has been always stepping up to help and to support the U.S., because we believe that this friendship needs to be mutually beneficial for both countries. It cannot be a one-way relationship.
Okay, so even he says that it's a government-to-government transaction only. It has nothing to do with personnel that's there. I mean, maybe, think what you want. Trump's very influential, and maybe it's because of Trump that they're offering it to him, but they're offering it to, like I said, they're offering it to the country. It's a government-to-government transaction. And like he said, for the last 10 or so years, last decade or so, they've been totally on our side. They've been totally helping us out. They've been totally willing to help us with whatever we needed. And do we need a new Air Force One? Well, one could argue it's an old plane. It's been flying around since the 80s or something. They said 30-year-old. So yeah, probably it's been about the 80s. That's all the presidents that probably most of us remember, as at least adults and that we remember, have flown in that exact same plane, and those two or however many Air Force Ones we have. So it's kind of an old plane. It's due for a revamp, and like I said, here's a chance to get one, because that $3.9 billion that they gave to Boeing and they're taking their sweet time. So it's just kind of a way to, hey, we have this opportunity to get a free plane to turn into Air Force One. It's not. But again, like I said, I'm not for or against the idea. I think it might be a bad idea, just for one, for publicity, for two, the Dems are going to throw this in your face regardless, whether it's legal or not, or ethical or not. They're going to throw it in your face. They're going to use it against you. And so it's like, is it really worth it? I mean, I don't know. We'll see if he even takes it or not. Knowing Trump, he probably will, but I don't know. We'll see. And don't get me wrong, I support most of what Trump does, but there are a few things that I don't agree with, and I'm not totally on board with this airplane thing. But again, I honestly, I could care less either way, but I'm not like on board with, yes, let's do it. Let's take it. It's a great idea. I think he should think it through totally before he just goes and accepts it. That's all I'm saying. I think he should think it through, because, don't just, oh, an airplane. Yep. Cool. Let's take it. Think it through. Think about all the ramifications that's going to happen if you take this plane, because the Dems are already against you. They already use anything and everything they possibly can to try and overthrow you, to try and get you out, to try and whatever. And that's just one more thing in their bag to use against you. So I don't know. You do you, but like I said, just think it through. And this next clip, it's kind of a long one. It was like a 16-minute clip, so I kind of cut it down into little sections so we don't like just one big clip. But it's from Forbes, and they're interviewing the aerospace chief editor or something like that. They'll tell you in the clip, but it's something about the aerospace guy, and he talks a lot about these types of planes and what it would take and stuff like that. So we'll get into that. I'll play a clip of, like I said, I broke it down into little sections so it's not quite so long, and then we can come back and we can discuss what each clip's about. So we'll get on to the first one, and we'll be right back.
Hi everybody, I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is Jeremy Bogajski, senior editor covering aerospace here at Forbes. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Ethical, legal, national security questions are abound after news broke that the royal family of Qatar planned to gift President Trump a luxury plane, a Boeing 747. And critics have said that the Qataris were giving this gift as a way to curry favor with the Trump administration and the White House. No such thing as a free lunch. There's no such thing as a free $400 million luxury plane. You're reporting, though, that there could be a different reason that the Qataris had for gifting the pricey present. Explain what that could be.
Sure. So it seems very likely that one of the primary motivations is to curry favor with the Trump administration. But another consideration for the Qataris is this is a plane that they seem to have been trying to get rid of unsuccessfully. 747s been nicknamed the Queen of the Skies. They are grand planes, and this plane in particular, the 747-8, was the final version of the 747, the largest version. And this particular plane was lavishly decorated. It was created. It was bought and designed for a gentleman named Hamad bin Jassim bin Jabir Al Thani, who's a billionaire who served as the prime minister of Qatar in the earlier part of the century. Boeing officials, I've heard at the time, said that this was one of the most beautiful planes that they had ever seen. But times change, and the 747 and this type of flying palace in the sky has lost its luster. Four-engine planes like the 747 and the Airbus A340 use an extraordinary amount of fuel. They become much more expensive as fuel prices have risen. And they've been going out of service with airlines in favor of more fuel-efficient planes, and that's also made them more expensive for those who have hung on to them. Maintenance has become more expensive as fewer of them are around. And there's also been more of an emphasis on discretion, less of an interest in making a big splash with these huge planes. All that to say that Qatar, along with many other wealthy Gulf royal families and governments, have been getting rid of their 747s. And Qatar previously gave away a very similar plane, a 747-8, to the president of Turkey in 2018. They also retired another 747 in the same year, 2018. This plane was put up for sale in 2020, and there were no takers. There's a very thin market for planes like this, partly due to changing customer demands, and also the fact that they're very highly customized and often to a particular person's taste. So another person may not like the style and doesn't want to both buy the plane and then put in tens of millions of dollars redecorating it. So one of the sadder examples of that is Saudi Arabia had also a very large fleet of 747s that was used by the royal family there. There was a plane, a 747, that was purchased and lavishly decorated for the late Crown Prince, who passed away in 2011. That plane only flew something like 42 hours. The Saudis were unable to find a buyer for it. It ended up being broken up for spare parts. So with this 747, giving the plane to the Trump administration is both a way for the Qataris to wash their hands of it and the expense of maintaining it, and at the same time score some points with President Trump.
Yeah, so basically, one man's trash is another man's treasure type of thing. They're getting rid of it because obviously it's just too expensive to maintain, and they've been trying to sell it for a while, and they just can't sell it because there's no buyers. So it's like, why not just give it away? I mean, if that's their way of basically cleansing themselves of it, and just dump it, because we all get that way. We all have something that's technically worth a decent amount of money, but nobody wants to buy it from us, so we just, whatever. We either keep it or we give it away, and it's, so they think that, we'll just give it to the United States and potentially score some points with the government in the process, I guess. But, is it a bribe? I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's a bribery. I know the left are going to use that against him. Like I said, any way possible, they're going to use it against him. They're going to. But on that same note, back to the topic of, is it really worth getting? If he's gonna get it, by the time they get it all retrofitted to be an actual Air Force One, to where it can actually be secure enough to fly the President of the United States in, and he's only flying it for a year to 6 months, just like that one in Saudi Arabia that he talked about, that it only flew for like 42 hours and then it went out of service, and they ended up breaking it up for parts. There's not a high demand for these planes, so it's not like, is it really, like I said, is it really worth it? That's the thing. Is all the money you're going to spend to put into it, to make it an Air Force One, for the short time you're going to use it, just to have it now sit in your hangar at your library, your presidential library, for the rest of its life? Is that really going to be worth it to you? Especially considering all the hate and all the heat you're going to take over it. The courts, the impeachment that they're going to throw that into some kind of an impeachment case. I know they will. We all know they will. They're going to try and impeach him for it or add that to the list of things they're going to try and impeach him for. So it's like, may not be worth it. Just saying. But like I said, one man's trash is another man's treasures. It always is. One person may be throwing something out that they think is trash, but you might think, hey, I can refix that up, I can rebuild it, or I can turn around and resell it or whatever. So it is what it is. Like I said, I'm still neutral. I don't think it's a good idea, but I'm kind of on the fence. I know I've been told that I need to pick a side, but I'm not really, like I said, I don't support everything that Trump does, and I don't support the taking of this plane. I'm not fully against it, but I'm not fully in support of it either. So I don't know. We'll see. Well, let's check this other clip, and we'll be right back and see what he has to say.
Sounds like a beautiful plane. It's at the price point of around over $400 million. It would also alleviate some headaches.
Originally, right? But now, what is it worth? If they can't sell it, then I don't know that it's right to call it a $400 million.
So you don't think that's the right headline coming out of this, then? That it's worth $400 million plane? Really?
No. If no one's willing to buy it, that tells you something, that it's maybe not worth as much as was spent on it originally.
So this would alleviate, then you're saying, a few headaches for the Qataris. That this giant $400 million not worth plane just hanging over them like an albatross. It would also curry favor with the White House, paint them in a favorable light to the Trump administration. That's what they were hoping, at least. There's not a huge market for these planes, as you're saying. President Trump said he said it's a great gesture on behalf of the Qataris, and essentially only a stupid person would not accept this gift. You talk to some aerospace experts. What do they say?
It doesn't seem like such a simple case. It's one thing to get a plane for free, but to turn it into a plane that can carry the President of the United States, that takes a lot of spending and modifications. And there's been some sort of suggestion that perhaps this plane could be modified quickly and quicker than Boeing has been working on preparing the next pair of planes that are supposed to serve as Air Force One. President Trump is very frustrated with Boeing's progress on that contract, which was awarded during his first administration in 2018, $3.9 billion contract. And the planes were supposed to be delivered in 2024, and they are years late. Recently, they've been saying it may take until 2028, 2029. The requirements for a presidential plane are a lot of work is needed. There are special communication systems to allow the commander-in-chief to basically operate in the air as an airborne command center, stay in touch with U.S. troops in times of crisis. The electronics have to be shielded against an electromagnetic impulse in case there's a nuclear war, so that the electronics aren't fried. There are special defensive systems which aren't really made public. It's known that there's anti-missile systems. So it's a very complicated and expensive process to build a new Air Force One jet. And if this Qatari plane were to be roped in, well, Boeing is already many years down the line on the planes that it's supposed to deliver. It's unlikely that it would be any quicker.
So yeah, again, cost benefit analysis. It's going to cost a lot. We don't know how much. I imagine it's going to be a lot, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people griping about Trump spending all this money on this plane. And like I said, cost benefit analysis. What's the cost compared to what the benefit is, based on what it's going to take to make this plane to be able to transport the president of the United States, so that he doesn't obviously become a risk, a security risk to this plane, and the amount of time it's going to take, the amount of money it's going to take. Trump, you're supposed to be a smart guy here. Let's do a cost benefit analysis. Is it really going to be worth it? With like I said, especially if he's going to have Boeing do it. They're already behind schedule on the other two planes. And I mean, he's got a contract with somebody else, and he's trying to get Elon Musk and his team involved, and it's kind of what these next couple clips will be about. But he's trying to expedite the process. I think he just wants to have a new plane to fly around in instead of this old beater and it's not sounding like the Boeing planes are going to be ready until he's out of office, or very, very last little bit. And I think because he's the one that signed the contract, and now he's not even going to get to fly around in them. So I think he's just a little upset about that. And I think that's why he's like, yeah, it's a new plane. I'd be stupid not to take it. You've got to, so you got to think about all of it. You got to think about everything, the heat you're going to take from the Democrats, from the left, from even some from the right are not totally on board with it. In order for it to be constitutional, you've got to get Congress on to approve on it, which who knows what they'll do. So there's a lot of, and it doesn't sound like it's a done deal yet, but I don't know. I'm not going to argue that. You think what you want. I don't know if it's a done deal. I thought the China deal was a done deal, but a lot of you said that the China deal wasn't a deal. It was just talks. And so I don't know. I thought, so maybe it's not a full deal. Maybe it's not done yet. But anyway, let's continue on, and we'll be right back.
I know, to your point, I was trying to do the math here of everything you're saying. It needs X, Y, and Z. Everything. That sounds like a pretty hefty price tag to fit this to be a presidential plane. As you said, Boeing is way down the line working on their presidential planes. Would this completely derail that process?
It certainly wouldn't help. One of the problems that Boeing has faced is that they have had a hard time getting enough qualified mechanics and other technicians who have security clearances to work on a project of this type. Now, the Trump administration has reportedly lined up L3 Harris to modify the Qatari plane if L3 Harris is going to need the same kind of specialized workforce. Well, that's going to then put another strain on the workforce, and the United States in general has a shortage of airplane mechanics. Period. Let alone ones who have security clearances.
Yeah, so that's just more about how long it's going to take, and yeah, you've got to have security clearance in order to work on one of these things. You can't just send some Joe Blow mechanic up in there or some not so Joe Blow mechanic that's on the other side that could gather information while they're building this, so they can. But yeah, it's tough. The workforce is tough. I mean, we already have a shortage of jobs, and that's partially because of the trade wars that's going on and things like that Trump's trying to take care of. So it's just a big deal. And I don't, like I said, I don't have a full opinion if he does it or not, but we'll continue on. We'll continue on till this last last clip, I think, and we'll see what they have to say, and we'll talk about that.
So, based on your reporting, is it even possible that Trump doesn't see a new updated Air Force One during his second term?
It's certainly a possibility. President Trump tasked Elon Musk with working with Boeing to see if the project could be sped up. And an Air Force official testified before a hearing in Congress earlier this month that Boeing has now said that they think they could deliver the planes in 2027 if the Air Force were to relax some requirements. It's not clear exactly what requirements and if the Air Force is willing to do so. So there is a possibility that those planes that President Trump is so frustrated about, maybe they do end up being available for him. But it's also entirely possible that he continues to have to use the aging planes that first flew in the 1980s.
Yeah, so don't think it's going to happen, Trump. I mean, you're probably not going to get a new plane in time for you to be done with your, unless there's some way you find it somehow to run again in 2028, then maybe you will. But Trump, if you're listening, you're probably not going to see this video, but if you do, don't take the plane. Probably not a good idea. Just because, you know, like I said, with everything that's got to go into this plane and all the heat you're going to take from it, it's probably not worth it. So, but anyway, we got one more quick little clip to finish this off, and then we'll end the video. I don't know how long it's getting, but we'll finish this up real quick, and we'll see what happens from here.
You don't think that this plane is worth $400 million? That's one of the big headlines, like we talked about earlier, because no one's buying it. So could it be worth that much if there's really not a market for it? You're our aerospace editor here. Do you think that there's anything else regarding this story missing from the national and really international dialogue when it comes to the Qataris potentially gifting Trump this plane, Trump potentially accepting it?
I think it's been picked apart pretty well. I spoke to one aerospace professional who thinks that Trump isn't really even serious about this Qatari plane either. He speculates that this is just a way for the president to put more pressure on Boeing to deliver. That's just speculation. But it seems highly unlikely to me, given the firestorm of criticism that has erupted over the ethics and the practicality that it will go forward.
Well, I certainly appreciate your reporting and your investigation here. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining me. You are welcome back anytime.
Well, thank you. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, so maybe, I mean, like he said, it's all speculation, but maybe he's just doing this for a negotiation plot to get Boeing on board to move a little faster. But I guess we'll see. I mean, it's, from what I hear, it hasn't happened yet. They haven't like secured any kind of deal, but again, like he just said in this last one, is it really going to be worth it with all the criticism you're going to get, all the Dems that are going to fight every step of the way, and they're going to use it. They're going to use it against you. And the practicality, like I said, the practicality. How much is it going to cost? How much is it going to actually get used once you're done with it? Is it really going to be worth it to you? So it's probably, you probably shouldn't do it. Just saying, you know, it's gonna be worse on yourself if you do it, because like I said, you're gonna get a lot of heat from it. And so I'm kind of neutral, I could care less. I mean, about the ethics of it. That's not what I'm critical of him. I'm critical of him. I'm not one of those everything he says is gospel type, like some people are, and I'm not gonna defend everybody because it's not. Some people are. Some people are Trump only. If Trump said it, it's true, and some people are the opposite. Where if Trump it's a lie, and I'm in between. Okay, if I'm not picking a side on this one, if he takes it, he takes it. I don't totally agree with it, but I'm not gonna be like, I'm not gonna hate him. I'm not gonna like despise him. I'm not gonna turn against him if he does. I mean, yes, he's the president and against the Constitution, but what would you do if you were in that situation? I mean, yeah, you're gonna say, "Oh, I would follow the Constitution," would you? I mean, if something happened, if somebody came to you, if you were in a high, powerful position of whatever, and somebody came to you and offered you something of great magnitude like that, what would you do? I mean, how would you do it? Especially, you know, I mean, you can say what you can say, oh, I wouldn't take it. I would, if that's legit, that's legit. But I mean, like I said, everybody's critical one way or the other. And it seems like this one's a little bit more, even people on his side are kind of like, you probably shouldn't take this plane. You probably shouldn't do it. You probably shouldn't do it. I'm on board with that one. It's not going to turn me against him if he does, but I don't think he should do it. Anyway, that's the video. Appreciate y'all. Links below for, if you want to support the channel in any way, there's a link to PayPal if you feel like giving a small donation, which you don't have to, no pressure there. There's also links to some of my other channels. I'm starting to funnel some of my repair videos and some of my gear review videos over to that channel so I can kind of start growing another channel. I got a kid that I do some football talk with. If you're into that sort of thing, we talk some football and things. We're trying to kind of grow that channel a little bit too. And anyway, that's the show. Always carry a gun. The world's getting really crazy. Carry maybe not a gun, but any kind of protection device that you can, whatever's the most effective thing that you can carry legally to protect yourself. Stay aware of your situation. Always be alert. Be aware of your surroundings. And again, I appreciate y'all. Love you. And we'll see you in the next one.